Welcome into Georgia High School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW Local 613 from the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk. I'm your host, Landon Knight, alongside Craig Sager. Happy Monday, Craig. We have a lot of football to talk about today. But before we get into that in our fast break headlines, let's just talk a little bit about some exciting events that we have coming up. To start off, we have our Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame induction, and that is coming up at the end of the month. And you can buy tickets for this event on the Hall of Fame website and find more information on the Score ATL website. But Craig, just talk to us a little bit about what people can expect at this event and what are you most looking forward to?
Well, what's interesting about this and what we picked up on, we've had guys that have gotten in that have reached the highest level of football. They've gotten into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, college football, the Georgia Sports Hall of Fame, but there's something about getting in as a high school Hall of Fame that really touches them, because it shows that back in those early days when they kind of first had that idea that they could become an outstanding football player or pursue this dream, that's what really mattered to them. So it's kind of connecting back to where it all started for these guys in the same place, Georgia high school football. And what really was incredible to me the first year was seeing how knowledgeable some of the guys that got into the class that we'd seen play in the NFL were about the current Georgia high school football landscape. So a perfect example, guys like Rennie Curran, he was talking to guys like Eric Berry, and they just knew everything going on with the coaches. And so a lot of these guys are still following the latest happenings around the state. And so that's why it's so great. It's in the middle of the season. October just feels like you're getting into that playoff atmosphere, and then just having all these incredible guys coming in, talking about Georgia high school football, talking about this season, past seasons, and then once this incredible event's done, we got the playoffs around the corner. I think the timing's great. It's also the bye week of Georgia football, so they can all attend, and it's going to be really fun.
Now let's talk a little bit about our upcoming game of the week. That will be Sprayberry at River Ridge this upcoming Friday night at 8 p.m. And Craig, we have talked about this is going to be a really good region matchup, and tell us a lot about this region. So what can we expect to see at this game?
I think we can expect another difficult week of pick'ems, because these two teams have been so unpredictable. You look at Sprayberry, the potential. This is the defending region champ. They've had one hiccup this season, and then they had an incredible win this last Friday night in overtime, going for 2 points for the win. Really a play that didn't necessarily have a chance. Duckett had to power his way in, the quarterback, and find a way to score that, or else they would have suffered another region loss. Then you have River Ridge, a team that lost to Woodstock. Now, Woodstock has been much more competitive. I think they have a chance to make the playoffs this year, but that's how they opened up the region schedule. And so a lot of people wrote them off. And then they turn around, have a huge win over Sequoia, who people thought was the region frontrunner after their win over Sprayberry. And now you have this game kind of week 9. It is going to be really interesting to see who wins. Now, I believe Sprayberry just beat Creekview, but now River Ridge will still have to play Creekview later on. But no doubt, determining a region champion or home field, this game is super important.
Now let's get into our fast break headlines. Our first headline is very somber this morning. Former Dunwoody head coach Mike Nash has passed away at the age of 51. He passed away Friday night following emergency surgery amid complications from liver failure, and he previously served as the head coach at Dunwoody High School for over 10 years and will be remembered as a mentor, leader, and someone who emphasized family, community, and character beyond his wins and losses. So we are definitely sending our thoughts and prayers to his family and everyone in this community. So, Craig, just talk a little bit about this legacy that he left at Dunwoody.
He poured his heart and soul into it. There's no doubt about it. And he was not only the football coach, he also was coaching the lacrosse program. And Dunwoody had a lot of seasons where they would be the smallest school competing in their classification. They were in tough regions, but he kept that program afloat the entire time. And then really in the last few seasons, they've been able to get back into the playoffs. And so he went out at Dunwoody, leaving the program in a really great place. It's very sad they went down to Chattahoochee County and this happened, but just one story about him. To me, he was just like the archetypal high school football coach, and it was after their performance in the Corky Kell last year against LaGrange. we're doing the on-the-field interview, and he takes off his sunglasses. And I've never seen someone with a bigger sunglass tan in my entire life. You can just tell he's out there every day in the heat, just coaching and doing what he loves. And it's very sad, but he's a guy that just put so many valuable minutes into his kids, into his school. And, I mean, the outpouring of support was definitely well-deserved. He is an outstanding football coach. He represents just not only doing it because you love the kids, but because you love the community.
Well, once again, we are sending all of our condolences to everybody in Dunwoody. Moving on to headline 2, class of 2026 Hillgrove Edge Chris Carbon has decommitted from Georgia Tech, so he reopened his recruitment after some new interest and offers surfaced this fall. He has had offers now or interest from Florida State, Auburn, and Michigan, and recently visited Florida State on an official visit and attended their season opener versus Alabama. So he is ranked 742 overall in the 2026 class and number 81 among edge prospects per Rivals. In this senior season, he has had 24 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, a forced fumble in 5 games. So, Craig, looking at the production and the numbers that he's had so far this season, what kind of impact player can we expect him to be at the next level?
I think it's a pretty big impact. So his numbers have increased this season a little bit. He had a huge breakout year, but when you look at Hillgrove, it's the team that has the most players in the NFL out of any school in the country. The development's there, the talent, and this Hillgrove team's been unbelievable defensively. He gives them a chance to match up against these high-powered offenses. He's seen a lot of football, and he's not really one of these guys that we talk about, does he have the size at the next level? He's massive. I think he's up to 240 pounds now, so he's got the raw skill set, the development to maybe not only get to the next level, but add yet another Hillgrove NFL player.
Moving on to headline 3, Cal shuts out Blessed Trinity in defensive showdown. And Craig, we've talked about this so much last week, but what stood out to me is this is the first time that Blessed Trinity has been shut out since 2011. And when we were talking about these two programs, we said that this game was going to tell us a lot about these teams. And as you can see, the final score ended up being 3-0. So as we move deeper into the season in region play, how surprising was this result to you on Friday night?
It's really surprising. Cal's got a capable defense, but in this game, it's clear that what they did, they loaded the box. They just disrupted the timing of the BT passing game. They had a good game plan, and the BT struggled at the quarterback position. I don't think there's any doubt about that. They've been trying the 2 different quarterback systems, seeing who has the hot hand. They couldn't establish a rhythm, and it is really hard to run the football when they've got all those players in the box and they're basically daring you to pass. And if that timing's not there, if it's an off day, you're going to struggle a lot. That was what happened to BT. They had too many turnovers. They were missing open receivers. They weren't doing well on 3rd down. And, I mean, the defense kept them in the game. You hold Cal to 3 points. That's pretty impressive. So I think BT's still a really solid team. It's just offensively, they're one-dimensional, and it's just the timing has not been there with the receivers. You see plays like that just breaking down, ball up for grab, turnover. They're having trouble sustaining these drives. I think that when you look at a high school football season, there's moments like this where a team can really struggle in the first half. But if they find the answers, move guys around, kind of assess their vulnerabilities, they still have a chance to make a deep run in the playoffs. It's not over yet for them by any stretch, but certainly a disappointing performance by their offense, being shut out. This is a big region game for them, but they still have a chance with you got Centennial, Westminster on the schedule, and the big Cambridge match. I think when you know that you can still play Cambridge and potentially have that one win change your season and change the region standings, there's still a lot to play for.
Moving on to headline 4, Nate Russell scores 4 touchdowns as Cartersville beats Cass 56-28. And Russell has had 1,300 passing yards this season and clearly a very dominant performance on Friday. And Craig, we also talked a lot about this game on Friday. Did you expect Cartersville to be this dominant against Cass?
Not this dominant. I knew that they would be favored in this game, but what was impressive is just how quickly they jumped all over Cass. They had like 30 37 points in that first half. Nate Russell has so much playing experience at this point. Obviously, Brody does also. He did miss last year, but this is a guy that's been in probably 40 to 50 high school starts now, Nate Russell. And what Cartersville does so great is just you watch them from the opening drive. They're just all on the same page, firing off the football, getting the pass and run game going, and they have a quarterback that can get the ball out very quickly in Nate Russell.
Moving on to our last headline, class of 2027 McEachern cornerback Nash Johnson has committed to Alabama, and he's a 3-star recruit, and his commitment brings Alabama's 2027 class to 4 total commits. And Craig, we got to watch Nash Johnson play this past Friday night. What does he bring to this McEachern team?
A lot. You saw the physicality, just flying to the football, and what Coach Reed said, when you have underclassmen that he's seen now for the last 3 years that he has a lot of confidence in, when he talks to these college coaches about the character of his players, kind of what he sees them at the next level, I think he's able to really advocate for his guys. And then on the field, no doubt, we saw it just flying to the football, making great tackles, playing with a lot of energy, and the experience is only going to help him moving forward.
And then just to close things out, I want to ask one more question about this Riveridge-Sprayberry matchup. Who are going to be the players to watch?
You got Jordan Edmonds for sure for Sprayberry, one of the best cornerbacks to ever come through the state of Georgia. We'll see him on both sides of the football. Another guy that we will be seeing playing on Saturdays and probably Sundays.
We will be right back after this short break with more Georgia High School Sports Daily. Don't go anywhere.
Nobody wants to hear the word roaches, because who wants to admit they have roaches?
I actually found some weird roaches. I didn't know what they were. I decided to choose Breda. I reached out to them. They check in routinely. They're explaining what they're doing, so there's a lot of clarity in the process as well. I think that just speaks to the level of safety that I feel with the organization.
The facts are, roaches are everywhere in our environment, so what are you doing to keep them out of your home?
Breda, Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
For a healthier future together, look to Northside Hospital.
This makes my dad proud. He went through his whole career as an employee. Now I'm the employer, something he didn't achieve.
We are signatory to IBEW and do IBEW people wherever we go that we feel like they are faster and better than any of our competition.
The advantages of being a signatory contractor is you're trained employees. You have unlimited manpower. It allows me to bid on jobs that I ordinarily would not go after.
Man, you know how to do this? Man, I don't even know. I was flipping burgers last week.
Violation, unsportsmanlike conduct, impersonating a craftsman.
Skilled trade unions are well-trained career pros, not part-timers. Construction is a rewarding and lucrative career with advancement potential, but you have to do it the right way with the right training. Learn how you can be a pro. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
You may know Tidal Wave Auto Spa as the world's greatest car wash, but did you know Tidal Wave also has the easiest fundraiser? So easy, our mascots think they can do anything, like making the big play on the big stage. Okay, maybe just a dream, but it is a super easy fundraiser. Just sell wash tickets and watch the money come in. If your flag football team, school, church, or group needs funds, go to TidalWaveAutoSpa.com and get started today.
Georgia's Rome is the place to be this season. Visit our vibrant downtown. Enjoy live concerts, attend street festivals, and see Wings Over Northwest Georgia Air Show. Plus, you can enjoy a haunted tour or two and these upcoming events. Make your weekend getaway one to remember. Plan your fun now at romegeorgia.org.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 613. Electrify your career. And by Breda Pest Management. They handle bugs and critters.
Welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. We are at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk. And Craig, now we're just going to talk a little bit about this Harrison-McEachern game that we watched on Friday night. It was our game of the week, and we had really talked about this was going to be a big region game. It's a big rival game. And honestly, the game was back and forth the whole entire time. It was a very entertaining game. One of the things we talked about was how powerful this McEachern defense was going to be. So just to start off, what impressed you most with what you saw from their defense?
Yeah, so going into this matchup, I think they were one of the teams leading Class 6A, only allowing about 7 points per game. Harrison has been great offensively this season. They haven't turned the ball over, and you see right there, they did have some success early in the game, in the second quarter, particularly early in the third, through the passing game. But really, McEachern buckled down. They were able to force a turnover on an interception. Then we saw later on Casey Barner picking up a fumble. And I just thought defensively, they played with a lot of poise and confidence. They didn't get discouraged if they gave up a big play, and they made things very difficult. They were solid at stopping the run. They didn't necessarily apply too much pressure, but you got to keep in mind, this is still a pretty young McEachern team, so this is a big matchup for them. I think there's still area for improvement, but defensively, they've showed throughout the year, whether it was the shutout against North Cobb, the flashes we saw in this game, this defense can really set the standard for them and shut down their opponents.
Okay, so speaking of defense, we also got to talk a lot about Casey Barner. You might have seen him do a backflip in the end zone in this game, but when we talked to Coach Reed, he just emphasized how Casey Barner is beneficial to their team, not just defensively, but on offense and special teams. So what did you see from him in this game? What makes him the defensive player of the game, and how do you see him doing at the next level?
Yeah, I mean, on some of these slant routes and intermediates, you saw just how tight the windows were. No one really got over the top on them in terms of the passing game. They didn't really give up any plays like that, any mislapses in coverage. But what Casey Barner does well, he flies around to the football, and he comes up with those huge plays where the teammate knocks the ball out, he scoops it up, and you know he's taking it to the house. He had the big backflip afterwards. Very exciting getting his team fired up. But he came to this McEachern team from Douglas High School, where he was playing in probably one of the best secondaries in the state as a freshman. Now he's having a big impact as a sophomore. I think he's done a phenomenal job just fitting in and being a leader in this secondary.
Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about Harrison's offense. You saw quarterback Aiden Watson. He had a good performance. They were able to move the ball around. What did you see from him that you liked?
Well, the one turnover he had, I thought it came early in the second half, and this is something that, I mean, his first turnover all season, can't really fault him too much. Everyone's going to make a bad throw, but that came after, I think, a penalty, it was the backwards pass. So they were really rolling offensively. They threw a backwards pass. His running back just dropped it. They lost a bunch of yards. Instead of a 2nd and 8 or something, it put him back at 2nd and 24. Then the interception came. I think after that first interception of the season, they lost a little bit of confidence. But when they were going toe-to-toe, he did a great job at answering immediately once McEachern scored. He was able to kind of just drive the ball downfield, not the big plays and the three-play drives, just great throws on 2nd and 3rd down, moving the chains for them and getting a lot of guys involved. Harrison's offense has had games where they had 10 different guys touch the ball in the backfield. They've had a lot of receivers getting involved. I think in this one, a lot of the attention went to Huggins, but as they're able to kind of spread the ball out a little more against a defense that might not be as talented as McEachern, we're going to see them continue to put up huge numbers.
And also, as we mentioned, we knew that this was going to be a really competitive region game. So kind of just talk me through this region, and how do you see these teams faring out the rest of the season?
It was huge. So these were the last two region champs. Harrison won the region last year. 2 years ago, McEachern, after an 0-4 start, won the region. So you still have Hillgrove in the mix, obviously, but this is a big matchup for a ton of reasons. And there's been a lot of, I wouldn't necessarily say pressure, but a lot of optimism for McEachern now that you're going into year 3 with Coach Reed. And it seems like they're making adjustments and getting better, McEachern, this season. Even though they started out the big win over Walton, I think the development of the offense, what we saw with Calvin Pittman having one of his better career performances, I just think there's a lot of guys that have been able to step up as the season progresses.
And to talk a little bit more about Coach Kareem Reed at McEachern, so he talked to us last week about how he's had a lot of coaching experience at the collegiate level. How do you feel this affects his coaching style?
Well, I think when you have a big program like McEachern, he's able to take his experience running programs at the college level, kind of bring that to high school, show that you have a roster at McEachern where these kids want to play at the next level. And if you challenge them day in and day out to just handle the day-to-days like you would as a collegiate athlete, I feel like that's what's giving them the opportunities, the success. They go out there on the field on Friday nights knowing that they put the work in the off season, they put the work in at practice, and that's where that confidence is coming from.
And as you mentioned, looking at both of their schedules, both of these teams still have to see Hillgrove. How do you see these teams doing against Hillgrove?
Yeah, Hillgrove's going to be a grown man game. They are very physical, probably play a different style than some of the other matchups we've seen. I think Harrison's defense, though, despite giving up a lot of points in the second half, having the game kind of run away with them, I think this is a very capable Harrison defense. McEachern, they're just going to continue to be relentless, and I think they've shown they're a 4-quarter team. The question that a lot of people are going to have, is McEachern up there with the Graysons, the Carrolltons, and the Bufords? That only time will tell. These are nationally ranked programs, but certainly when you look at the success of McEachern so far and then the youth that they're playing with, I think the McEachern program, a win like this signifies they're back to that relevancy, and they're only going to go up from here.
And we've talked a lot about this McEachern defense, but with players like Henry Pullen, what does he bring to the McEachern offense?
Yeah, he was a finisher in this game for sure, but he also has that ability to break the big runs. So when you have a quarterback like Calvin Pittman that can escape to the outside and hurt you with those big plays, it's going to open up things up the middle with those RPO style runs. Just even when Calvin Pittman looks like he might throw a screen out wide, that's going to send the linebackers there. Then you can hand it off to Pullen right up the middle. I was impressed by his runs in the second half. Pullen's a guy that has had to really be the workhorse for the offense with a lot of the injuries McEachern's had in the passing game. But now as those young receivers have gotten experience, now that some of those players are coming back and Calvin Pittman's playing better, I think McEachern's more balanced. And so Pullen's almost going to be a finisher back where he's not going to have to do as much in the first half. But when you need him, when you got that lead and you want to close out the game, he's got that big physical running style and the ability to break runs.
And then you touched a little bit on Harrison's wide receiver, DJ Huggins. What impressed you most from him?
Yeah, just his ability to get open, catch balls in tight windows, in traffic, and he scored 3 touchdowns, 3 receiving touchdowns against a McEachern defense that was only allowing 7 points per game. Huge performance, getting the hat trick. Definitely hats off to him.
We'll be right back after this short break with more Georgia High School Sports Daily. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. We're at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk. And now we're going to take a look at our updated football rankings, guys. It's hard to believe that we're going into week 9 of Georgia high school football. This season seems like it is absolutely flying by, but let's take a look at some of the movement and get some updates on these teams, starting with our 6A classification. So, Craig, just talk to me about what went into taking North Cobb out, and then I just want to ask again one more time about McEachern and Harrison and kind of how you see them doing against Hillgrove.
Yeah, so McEachern rounds out that top 5. So all the top 5 had great victories this last week. Grayson, 41-0, Heritage Conyers, Buford, win over Collins Hill, Carrollton crushed Westlake, Douglas County, big win over East Coweta, and then McEachern, the win over Harrison. The question to me was, what's going to happen in South Georgia? You had Lowndes another big win over Tift County, but then Valdosta falling to Colquitt County. Valdosta already had a huge win in the region last week over Camden County. So I didn't want to drop them out of the poll. And then Colquitt County, just seeing how competitive they've been this season against teams like Benedictine, being able to get a win. I think overall their resume looks stronger than North Cobb after the Valdosta win. So that was the reason I took North Cobb out. Just I needed to reward Colquitt County for the win over Valdosta. And then when you look at North Cobb, some losses like Cass, I've just felt like the Packers had the edge.
Now let's look at our 5A classification. So Hayden, I just want to ask, what has impressed you most about this Thomas County Central team? And then kind of just talk to me about the consistency. I guess you've seen from all the teams, not much movement here.
I mean, Thomas County Central is one of the few teams I think in this classification with no glaring holes. Yeah, they gave up some points to Lee County a few weeks ago, but just week in and week out, the defense is playing really well, the offense is playing really well. They're just a complete team that doesn't have a lot of holes. Hughes is kind of similar. They're a really complete team. Houston County is interesting. I didn't expect them to be this good this season. I have them at number 3. They're no lower than 5 on any of the rankings right now. A really good team, still undefeated. That game in a few weeks is going to be a ton of fun between them and Thomas County Central. And then you look through this. Once you get below that, most of these teams have some flaws that you see. Gainesville's secondary, I saw some questions about. Milton at quarterback, Ben Levy's playing well, but he's still kind of an unknown. Lee County's coaching situation's a question mark right now. But overall, this is just a really high-end classification.
Okay, let's take a look at our 4A classification. So, Craig, 2 parts to my question here. So, you took Cass out. What went into this, and what makes you keep Blessed Trinity in this top 10?
Yeah, that was tough. I did punish them quite a bit. You see them going from number 5 all the way down to number 10. I still think Blessed Trinity's had some big wins. They played Milton toe-to-toe. They had the win over Savannah Christian. So, yeah, this was a really bad loss, but it was by 3 points. And then I did put Kell back in there just because I didn't take BT out. Cass is out this week. Kell replaced them. It was a tough decision. But when I look at the rest of the poll, who did I want to reward this week? Central Carroll. They had a huge win over Stars Mill, 49-7. They are cruising right now. They look like they're going to run away with the region. I moved them up to number 7. You look at a team like Ware County. They went toe-to-toe with Benedictine, who's at number 4. Now look what Benedictine did to Warner Robins last week. Just absolutely dominated that matchup. So I feel really good about it. I left BT in, but they did drop all the way down to 10, so they're right there on the edge.
And then I just want to ask also about this Creekside team. They've clearly been having a very dominant season. They have Caden Benson as their quarterback. How impressed have you been with his performance this season?
I think Creekside looks like a state championship team. I think they're almost guaranteed to get to the state finals. Benedictine's a team that's going to be tough. Cartersville's playing outstanding. I think the only question is once you get in that championship game, anything can happen. There's a ton of pressure on it, but I think the way they've been playing, the way they came out week 1, they are really just playing fast offensively, flying to the football on both sides, and this is a team that to win a state title, you got to be great on defense and have the offense. They certainly are great on both sides of the ball.
Now let's look at our 3A classification. So, Hayden, same thing with 5A. These teams have been very consistent. Not a lot of movement here. What has impressed you about these programs?
I think the most impressive team, just from preseason expectations, is North Clayton. This is a team that has a lot of talent, but just has, in past years, hasn't put together. They went out a few weeks ago and beat Stevenson. Really good win. Their only losses to that West Lawrence team that's only 1 spot ahead of them. Really good. Then you look at the top 5. It's really hard to break these teams apart. Defending champ Calhoun's at number 3. Peach County's playing really good football. Sandy Creek is dominant. Any of those 3 teams can be number 1, especially Peach County or Sandy Creek. North Hall has been a really good and consistent team since last season. This is a really talented team. I think I need to see them win some bigger games to have them a little higher in my rankings. But just really deep in this classification with probably 5 or 6 teams I think can legitimately compete for a state title.
Let's look at our 2A classification. So, Craig, Cook is out. You added Thompson. Let's talk about why you took Cook out, how Thompson earned their spot. What went into this?
Yeah, it was tough. I think Cook is a top 10 team, but I had to make room for Thompson after their big win over rival Burke County. I didn't want to drop Burke County out of the poll. and I just looked overall and rewarded Thompson for the victory over the rival, bumped Burke County down, and then Hateville Charter, their big win over Holy Innocents. Thought that was significant. They've got a chance to compete with Carver-Atlanta for that region title. They played a really difficult schedule, so I moved them up one spot. But overall, I think Carver-Columbus still is the clear team to beat in this classification, just how dominant they've been.
And right after this, we're actually going to hear from Darren Myles, the Carver-Atlanta coach. So they're 7-0 right now. What has impressed you about their team this season?
Yeah, normally Carver's a team that really challenged itself in the non-region. They might have some losses early. They came out from the start, mid-season form. They look like they've taken a step up, and anytime you're still unbeaten at this point, there's a lot of excitement, and this is going to be a team that is playing with a ton of confidence.
Let's look at our Classification A D1. So there's a lot of movement here. Hayden, just talk me through all the movement we see.
Okay, so we'll start with Swainsboro. Swainsboro lost to Toombs County this week. I'm not going to punish you too much for a loss to a top 4 team. Really, still a really good team, but that moved Toombs County up, Swainsboro down one spot. And then Northeast lost to Bleckley County. That dropped Jasper County out of the rankings. I just thought, even though Jasper County is undefeated and Bleckley County has one loss, that win over Northeast is much better than anything Jasper County has. I think they'll be back in the rankings if they continue to win, but Bleckley County need to be ranked at number 10. And then Northeast, even after a big win over Dublin, just kind of dropped a few spots because of that loss.
Okay, now let's take a look at Classification A D2. Same thing, Hayden, right here. So this Lincoln County team, they've been so dominant this season. What have you seen from them? And then let's talk about this number 10 spot, this Metter team, how they made their way into this top 10.
So Lincoln County is one of the traditional powers in the state of Georgia. They have I believe, the third most state championships of any team. They had 11 under their former coach, Coach Campbell, I believe is his name, winningest coach in state history. Garrison Hurst, a lot of great teams. Metter is, then you look at the bottom, Metter is just, they're a really good team. They've had a few losses. They lost to ECI 2 weeks ago, but Hawkinsville, the team that was number 10, lost their second straight game, fell out of the rankings. And I knew Metter was going to make their way back to these rankings. They're a top 10 team, unquestionably.
Okay, now let's look at Class A through 3A private. So Hebron Christian is still in this number 1 spot. What's impressed you most about them? And then also talk to me about adding Whitfield Academy.
I think for Hebron is the big win they had over Fellowship Christian. I think that for me, the top 3 teams are a little further ahead of the rest of the classification, and Hebron dominated that matchup, the defending state champs. Then Whitfield Academy, they replaced Wesleyan this week. We know how good Whitfield's been running the football, only 1 loss this season. And then there's so many other teams I want to put in there. You got Athens Academy, North Cobb Christian, but I can't take a 5-1 GAC team out, and I feel like Lovett defensively, they've been really solid.
Well, we will be right back after this short break to hear from Carver-Atlanta head football coach. Don't go anywhere.
Customer service is everything in our industry, and one thing our clients love is when they call Breda, they get a live representative. At Breda, you get the attention you need and deserve right when you call in. Your appointment gets scheduled right then and there, and you get a specific time, no window of arrival. Our staff are your neighbors. They know what's going on in your community, and they're invested in doing it better.
Breda, Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
A journeyman with Local 85, when you turn out, you can be hitting 6 figures.
Hey, I have your back, you have my back. We're gonna do this together. We're one for all for one.
College just wasn't for me. Let's look into actual career jobs that wouldn't take college, where I wouldn't, lose money and all that. Instead of losing a lot more money at the end, why not make money and make more money at the end?
You may know Tidal Wave Auto Spa as the world's greatest car wash? But did you know Tidal Wave also has the easiest fundraiser? So easy, our mascots think they can do anything, like making the big play on the big stage. Okay, maybe just a dream, but it is a super easy fundraiser. Just sell watch tickets and watch the money come in. If your flag football team, school, church, or group needs funds, go to TidalWaveAutospa.com and get started today.
Nothing is as pure and special as high school sports in the state of Georgia. And Atlanta is its #1 fan. High school sports are about families, kids chasing their dreams, communities supporting their teams year in and year out, neighborhood signs, and off-season workouts when nobody's looking. It's the biggest stage that young athletes get to climb for the very first time. And Atlanta wants to connect your brand with Georgia high school sports in ways that have never been available before. In addition to our Georgia High School Sports Daily Show, Atlanta provides continuous coverage of the Georgia high school football season through its televised games, stories, and rankings. Atlanta puts on some of the most notable events like the Corky Cal Dave Hunter Classic, the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame, and the Georgia Elite Classic. All of these elements offer sponsors exclusive opportunities and exposure. So let's talk about how you can reach millions of people who enjoy Georgia high school sports. For more information, contact Atlanta today.
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of battle? Will you still train like a champion in the pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrical worker. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.
Welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. We are at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk, and now we will welcome Darren Myers, Carver-Atlanta football head coach. Coach, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you guys for having me. Good afternoon.
And so, Coach, you have players on your roster like Terrius Favors. He's being highly recruited. What does he bring to your program?
Terrius Favors, the first thing he brings is high character, infectious smile, and a work ethic. You know, all that stuff, you know, translate to the football field. What you guys see on Fridays or Thursdays, it carries over from practice. You know, he very competitive in practices, which lifts the other players up. And that carries over to the field. Any kind of way he can affect the game, he wants to be involved, whether it's that quarterback, receiver, defensive back, etc.
And Coach, just to highlight you for a minute, you were named the Atlanta Falcons 2024 Coach of the Year. Just talk to me a little bit about this award and what it means.
Well, it means a lot. Means a lot to be recognized in this great state of Georgia amongst all of the quality football coaches that we have in this state. So to be picked to represent the Atlanta Falcons as one of the Georgia High School Football Coaches of the Year was a tremendous honor.
Coach, I want to talk just about your season opening up with a big win over Southwest DeKalb. How did that game in particular give your team confidence?
Anytime you can open up 1-0, it's going to give you confidence, but it was even more confidence because it was against a well-coached team in Southwest DeKalb. You know, they have some outstanding players over there, a couple of Division I, 1AA type players. It got us ready for, you know, the season ahead. So anytime that you can beat a program like a Southwest DeKalb, it brings a lot of confidence to, you know, throughout the team and the players.
And then, Coach, what are you looking for from your team to improve upon these last 3 region games?
We still need to improve on tackling, protecting the football on offense, tackling on defense, as simple as that sounds. Those are the 2 main things that we want to improve on. Converting inside the red zone. We kind of stalled against Hakeville Charter several times, actually 3 times to be specific. Had 2 turnovers against Hakeville, had 2 turnovers last week. So we have to work on protecting the football and also making our open field tackles as well as wrapping up. Those are the things that we want to improve on.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about y'all's young quarterback, Corey Fletcher's playing really well this season. Just talk to me what he brings to this team and what he brings to this offense.
What he brings is the attitude of toughness, which is already permeates throughout the team. He's a hard-nosed quarterback. Oftentimes, after he hands the ball off, he's trying to block somebody. We're trying to keep him from doing that. When he pulls it on one of the zone reads, he's trying to run over somebody. We want to stop him from doing that as well. You know, he's a defensive back and wide receiver by heart, but he's somebody that plays quarterback for us. You know, his mother has oftentimes told me that, Coach, he's a better receiver and safety than, you know, quarterback. And I said, well, I understand that, but he's our quarterback right now. We'll find out what happens later on down the line, but he's the quarterback for us. And he understands the offense really well. He does a good job with decision making and making the reads. You know, sometimes there are some sophomore mistakes, but not enough to kill us. So, like I told him last week after the Hateville game, you know, congratulations, you're 6-0 as a sophomore. So now he's 7-0. Clearly, that it helps to have guys around him. The offensive line does a great job of protecting him. The receivers do a good job of running routes and catching the ball for him, and it's complemented with the run game. And clearly, defense does a great job getting him the ball back also.
Then, Coach, I wanted to ask you about that defense. It's been dominant this season, only giving up 6 points a game. Just wow, just everything about it. It all is just coming together. Talk to me about some of the more underrated players like Michael Johnson Jr.
Michael Johnson is definitely underrated. If Michael Johnson was 6'2", 6'3", he'd be one of the top players in the country. Has an extremely high motor, very physical, high football IQ, tough, works hard, practice hard. He pushes offensive linemen in practices. So, you know, we often say that if you guys can block Mike, you should be able to block just about anybody in the state. And then, of course, he complemented with a couple other guys too, Tyree Williams, you know, Lando Crafton Jr., who's committed to Western Kentucky. We got some formidable linebackers that play behind him. You know, we got Quentin Moss. We got Javante Holt. And then on that back end, of course, you got Favors in the secondary. We got Joshua Raven, who's also another guy that's underrated. We got Lamonte Tucker Jr. and Jamani Johnson. All those guys do a great job hustling to the ball, 11 halves of the football like we always preaching, and getting there with bad intentions. And they just take pride. They take pride in not giving up points, and sometimes it feel like we lost the game if they give up points. So that's the attitude we want to have, you know. And oftentimes in practice, we can't do ones against ones unless we get ready to play somebody that's going to give us a similar look, because that practice becomes a game. And the bodies pay for it later on in the week. So defense been really dominant, which we expected. We have 9 returning starters over there, so we're expecting them to be pretty good this year.
And, Coach, I want to ask you, this season you guys have already avenged all 3 regular season losses from last year, which were all close games, Luella, Decatur, and then Hateville Charter. You got a Holy Innocents team coming up, though, that you guys beat pretty handedly last year, 50-0. They're older. What are you looking for just in these final 3 regular season games from your team?
Well, like I mentioned, to get better in those phases that I talked about, protecting the football, securing tackles, continue to play with discipline. And, you know, last year was last year. This is a whole nother year, trying to go 1-0 this week. Holy Innocent is a much better team. They're well coached. They were coached well last year as well. But, you know, just so happened things went right for us that night. They do a good job scheming on offense, defense, and special teams. So we know we're going to have a challenge ahead of us, rather. And this remaining focus and playing to the standard, you know, not looking ahead, just trying to go 1-0. What happened last year was last year. This is a whole nother team, you know, a whole nother challenge. So as long as we play to the standard, you know, we hopefully we can come out victorious.
Then, Coach, what are your overall thoughts about Class 2A this season and the importance of you guys getting home field in the playoffs?
It's real important. We found that out last year. I mean, we won the first round against Shaw and hit the road against Appleton County. Is just the part with the traveling. You know, it's always the headaches of traveling, getting the kids rested, fed, and then getting to the stadiums. It's just a lot easier when you just, you know, stay home, load up the bus, ride 5 minutes away if it's at Lakewood, you know, 20 minutes away if it's at Henderson Stadium, and not have to deal with the headaches of a pregame meal on the road, a pregame snack, a postgame meal after the game, and just the traveling. So it means a lot. Home field advantage will be very important for us. We haven't had that in a while. You know, we've hosted first rounds, but then oftentimes have to be on the road in the second round. So that is important for us. And two-way overall, I mean, they're playing tremendous football. You know, the guys that are rated ahead of us, Sumter and Carver, Columbus, then you got Morgan County. You know, you can never underestimate anybody. But some good football with some high-quality student athletes on those teams as well.
Well, again, that was Carver-Atlanta football head coach Darren Myles. Coach, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you guys for having me.
We'll be right back after this short break with more Georgia High School Sports Daily. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. We are at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk, and now we will welcome Adam Lindsey, who is on the reclassification committee for the GHSA and the Gainesville Athletic Director. So it was approved today to use the playoff ratings formula rather than region standings for playoff seeding in all classifications. So just talk to us about how this makes it more fair for teams that might be in a difficult region like Richmond Hill that missed the playoffs last year with a 7-3 record.
Well, I think it's been long-standing that the playoff formula that we've used in the past is a little bit outdated, and the goal is to get the top 32 to the playoffs. And in this new formula, the region champion will be guaranteed a 1 through 16 seed, and then everyone else has to postseason ranked formula into the playoffs.
So this was previously voted on in June. What did it take to get everyone on board and get this approved today?
I'll be honest, it was a pretty easy vote. I mean, I think everybody's kind of been talking about it for a long time and seeing it be put into action in 1 through 3. I think they realized there were some things to tweak, and some of those conversations happened yesterday in the reclass meeting. But I think everybody's pretty much on board with the process moving forward.
And then how do you think this influences the scheduling that teams are going to do, just trying to front load it and stack up that strength of schedule?
That was some of the concern that was shown in the reclass meeting yesterday. There was some concern shown by the schools that maybe not are as strong, that they're going to struggle to find scheduling. But I think at the end of the day, it's about promoting stronger teams to play stronger competition. So that is going to be an interesting part of it. Everybody's going to have to be very intentional about how they schedule. You're going to have to look at the strength of your region depending on what sport you're in. If you've got a weaker region when it comes to strength of schedule, you're going to have to front load it with some teams in a higher classification or some very successful programs to make sure that your postseason ranking when it comes to the end of the season reflects truly the strength of your schedule.
And then talk about how the calculation works for strength of schedule.
So I'll be honest, I'm not an expert on that, but I do know there's 3 elements of it. The first one is your winning percentage. The second one is your opponent's winning percentage. And the third one that I think kind of gets a little bit out there is your opponent's winning percentage. So the GHSA has been asked to kind of like tweak that a little bit. Everybody's a little concerned about getting too far out there with your opponent's winning percentage. But, you know, and I think football is kind of a difficult one right now. You know, we're in 5A. So really just paying attention to it for the first time this year and looking at how the rankings are. It's, you know, football only plays 10 games in the regular season as to where, you know, basketball or baseball maybe 24, 25, whatever it is, and things have a tendency to work out over time. They're going to have to pay attention real closely to football with just the fewer number of games when it comes to how that actually ends up working out in the end.
Then what are your thoughts just how this is going to impact the other sports?
I think it's a good thing in the end. I mean, at the end of the day, we've seen it across our state. There are certain programs that are stronger depending on where you live in the state. So at the end of the day, we want the best teams making it to the playoffs. And I think having some kind of power ranking that puts the best team, the top 32 teams in the playoffs, ultimately is the right thing for our kids.
And then what about if someone argues, well, we lost this game, but it was 38-35, and we're getting punished. We're more competitive. Is there any concern about that?
I think, again, it goes back to the scheduling and, you know, making sure you're scheduling the right opponents. You know, I think it's more important to lose to somebody in a higher classification than it is to beat somebody in a lower classification. And all of that kind of ties together.
And then, as we mentioned, you're also the athletic director at Gainesville, and Gainesville will see Milton this upcoming Friday. Coming off of a big win over Seconder, what are you most looking forward to in this matchup?
I'm looking forward to a big game on Friday night. Milton is obviously they've proven themselves over the last couple of years being state champions, and we want to be a state championship program. Obviously, we made it there and lost in the finals a couple of years ago. We want to get back there this year, and it runs through Milton. Milton has proved themselves, and until we beat them, it kind of is what it is. So it's a big game. It's a big game for our community, a big game for our kids. So we're looking forward to it on Friday night.
And then prior to Gainesville, were you at Jackson County?
Correct. Yep.
What did that kind of teach you, just being in a place like Jackson County that is surrounded by some of the bigger schools, how to bring a competitive balance to it?
Well, so the competitive balance model actually started when I was at Jackson County and kind of seeing how playing the bigger schools with the smaller schools affected our ability to compete across the athletic department. So certainly very appreciative for my time at Jackson County. Learned a whole lot there, and kind of just where it helped me develop the whole competitive balance model.
And then real quick, talk about the new classifications. We're going to go back to a 7A.
Correct. It's really semantics when it boils down to it. We've always had the 1D1 or the 1D2, which gets completely confusing to deal with. So I think it was a very easy decision, a smart decision to just go 1 through 7. It's still, we're in 7 classes now. We'll still be in 7 classes. It's just a semantics cleanup that I think make life a whole lot easier for everybody, understanding what they're talking about.
And then just to close things out, who are some players that you're looking forward to seeing in this Gainesville versus Milton game on Friday?
To be honest, not terribly familiar with Milton, but I know we've got a lot of great players. Kareem Hughley, our quarterback that's committed to Clemson. We've got 2 guys committed to Alabama, Jamarion Matthews and Xavier Griffin. It's going to be a star-studded event. There's no doubt about it. There'll be college coaches standing on both sidelines, and hopefully it's a great game where Big Red comes out on top.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and good luck to your team this upcoming Friday night.
Thank you so much.
We will be back here tomorrow with more Georgia High School Sports Daily. Stay tuned.
We saw some squirrels were trying to get into the attic. I hear those squirrels still scampering through because I didn't go through those services initially.
Our job is to go up there and figure out where they're getting in and trap and remove and get those unwanted guests out. But then the next big step is not just seal the entry point where the critter got in, but seal the entire roof line. The most common mistake is only sealing the entry point you see.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off. Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
For a healthier future together, look to Northside Hospital.
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of battle? Will you still train like a champion in the pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrical worker. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.